All right, here is a quick video to give you some examples of how to solve two-step equations, like the ones that you would find in numbers 6, 8, and 9 as assigned in your work. Let's start with, I told you to skip number 5 because it talks about listing steps, which I don't think is a great way to approach this. So we're going to start with number 6, and I've assigned you questions A and C, so we'll try B and D. So it says solve each equation, then it also asks you to check your solution. So I'm going to show you how to do both parts of that. And I'm going to start with number 6B as an example. Okay, so this is what I showed you in the first video. If you haven't already watched that and tried the first few questions, numbers 2, 3, and 4, please do that first because this takes the difficulty up a notch a little bit. Okay, so we're looking at how to solve a question like number 6. And we're going to do B first. And because I started talking, I forgot what the question is. So let me go back. 2x minus 6 equals 12. Okay, so let me move my paper up so we can see that there. So 2x minus 6 equals 12. Okay, so our goal is the same as it was in the previous video. We want to get the answer for the variable, which means that we need to get rid of all the other numbers that are on the same side of the equation as that variable. So in this example, it's called a two-step problem because I have two numbers. I have the 2 that's being multiplied over here, and then I have the 6 that's being subtracted. Okay, and well, remember we have sort of these 4 operations that we're dealing with: addition, subtraction, or adding and minusing, and multiplication and division, times and divide. Okay, and they kind of pair with each other. Adding is the opposite or the inverse of subtracting. Multiplying is the inverse of dividing. When I look at a question like this, so I have a part being multiplied and a part being subtracted, I have to deal with the adding and subtracting parts first. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to do I've got minus 6 right here. I'm going to do the inverse of minus 6 on the other side. 2x equals 12. And because I'm moving it over to the other side, instead of minus 6, it will be plus 6. Okay, and then to simplify that, 2x is going to equal 18. Okay, because 12 plus 6 is 18. I've still got this 2 right here with my x that I need to get rid of, and because it's right beside with no symbol in between, that tells me that I'm multiplying. It's 2 times x. The inverse of multiplying is dividing. So to get rid of that 2, I have to divide the other side by it. Okay, and I'm writing my division like this, but you could also write it as 18 divide, like using this symbol 2. Okay, either of those is fine. Then you might want to try that on your calculator. Totally fine. I'm going to do it in my head. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Okay, and then that's our final answer. To check our solution, we've got a number. We know the answer here is 12, and then we've got some complicated stuff here. The check means I take the left side of my equation and I rewrite the same thing, except instead of writing x, I'm going to put in the answer I got, 9. Okay, and then the right side of my equation was just 12. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work through the math here and see if the answer I get is, in fact, 12. And that'll tell me that the solution, x equals 9, is correct. Okay, so 2 times 9 is 18. And then 18 minus 6 is, in fact, 12. Okay, so my left side and right side are the same, which is a way of checking that x does in fact equal 9 in this equation. Okay, I know it's a lot. I'm going to do 3 more examples to try to help you be a little more comfortable. So let's do number 6D. which is 2w minus 3 equals 11. Okay, and I'll try to go through this one a little bit quicker. So 2w minus 3 equals 11. Okay, so just like in the last example, I've got to deal with any adding or subtracting first. I've got minus 3 right here, so I'm going to add it to the other side. Okay, 2w equals 11 plus 3 is 14. Then to get rid of the 2, I'm multiplying by 2, so I would have to divide on the other side. 14 divided by 2 gives me an answer of 7. To check, I'm going to do those same steps. Left side, right side. So you notice the thing that splits up the left side and the right side is the equal sign. So everything to the left of equals, 2w minus 3. Everything to the right of equals is just the number 11. Okay? And then I'm just going to swap in the answer I got for w. So 2 times 7 minus 3. 2 times 7 is 14. And then 14 minus 3 is 11. Okay, so my check worked out. Left side and right side are the same when w equals 7, which means that this is the right answer. Okay, I'm going to do one more example, looking back at the textbook. So the next question I assigned you is number 8, which deals with, you've just got a little more, well, these are all multiplying and dividing type questions here, and we also have some more negatives to deal with this one. So let's do number 9. Sorry, we'll do D, and some kind of tricky things will come up in that, and hopefully we can clear up some of the things that make these complicated. So 9 equals minus 3y over 11. Okay, so I need a fresh piece of paper. And this is number 8D. 9 equals negative 3y over 11. Let me just double check that that's the right. D9 equals negative 3y over 11. Perfect. Okay, so one thing that's a bit tricky here is our variable is on the different side than it has been in all the other examples. That's totally fine. I can still solve it in the same way. It's just I'm going to be bringing things over to this side when I invert the operations instead of the other way around. Okay, but everything else is the same. And here I've got y times 3, and I've also got divided by 11. Okay, and because multiplication and division kind of go together, it actually doesn't matter what order I do this in. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the over 11 first, just because I find that easier. So I'm dividing by 11. I have to do the inverse, which means I'm going to multiply by 11 on the other side. Okay, and 9 times 11, you could do that on your calculator. I know it's 99 equals negative 3y. Okay, and then my next step, I want to get y by itself. I'm multiplying it by 3, which means that I'm going to invert that. I'm going to divide by 3 on the other side. But I also want to get rid of the negative sign at the same time. So I'm going to bring that along with the 3. Okay, so I can think of this as negative 3 times y. I'm going to divide by negative 3 on this side. Okay, and then this, when you're dealing with negatives, it might be extra helpful to check this on your calculator. 99 divided by negative 3 is going to give me a negative answer. It's actually going to give me negative 33 as an answer. Okay, the last step here is to do a check, and I can set it up the same way I did before. Left side, right side. Okay, the left side here is what's left of the equals, that's 9. And the right side is negative 3y over 11. So the left side, I'm not going to do anything to that. The right side, I'm going to sub in the answer I got. Negative 3, negative 33 over 11. Okay, and then, so negative 3 times negative 33. Again, not a bad idea to check these things on your calculator if you don't feel that comfortable with negatives. But because I've got a negative times a negative, that gives me a positive 99 divided by 11. And then 99 divided by 11 is 9. So my left side and right side are the same, which means that my answer is correct. Okay, so that's 2-step equations. Hopefully that is enough information so you can finish numbers. Let me just look back here for a second. Numbers 8 and then 9. Some of them in 9 are a little bit trickier because they have decimals and things, but as long as you have a calculator, that shouldn't be too tough. And then tomorrow I'll send you some videos to try to give you some ideas of how to deal with the word problems. Okay?